Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
How I love when you are still, like a bird on my windowsill, like a bee in a daffodil. How I love when you are still as a bee. Yes, then I can see. Oh, I fell for you way back when. You are so.
Are you ready, HB?
I'm ready, T-Bone.
Mr. Scotty, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get after it. This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is episode 155, T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. HB, you know him as the staff photojournalist at the Roanoke Times. I know him as that funny little kid across the street back in the mid-90s. Welcome. Good to see you again, Scott P. Yates.
Great to be here, Tim.
T-Bone. It's so nice to see you again. Now, you know, I'd lost track of you. And I was reading an article by Tad Dickens in the Roanoke Times, and he said in the article he had a video of the Floyd Fest new location at Czech. And he said, it's from Scott Yates. I said, what the hey? It was you. So well done. It's a very, very nice video. So you do video and photography for Roanoke Times?
Yes, I do. First of all, it's an honor to be here and talk with you today. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am the latest hire in the Roanoke Times photo department, and I couldn't be happier. It's a great coming of age and closing the circle career move for me. I started my photography passion interning at the photo department back in about 2003. And have been working out of the state pretty much ever since. Well, and now I'm back in town.
You sure are. And I'd heard, there was word on the street, Scott, that Scotty's back in town. Scotty's back in town. It was just, just a rumor. But here you are, live. So let's turn the dial back. When you graduated from Patrick Henry in 2003, you're like a lot of young talent. You graduate from high school, you go to college, you develop your craft, and then we're fortunate enough that sometimes, that young talent gets to come back to Roanoke. And to me, that's the charm of your story. So let's pick it up. Where did you go when you left Patrick Henry, when you left Roanoke?
I left town as quick as possible, and I went to college at the University of New Hampshire.
Which is located where?
The seacoast of New Hampshire. Beautiful working waterfront, old-timey New England town setting, right on the Piscataqua River that abuts the Atlantic Ocean. And it was a great place to cut my teeth as a community photojournalist, getting a job right after graduation. But making all the mistakes and all the discoveries that college life gives you, I couldn't have been happier with my time at the University of New Hampshire.
Did it ever snow up there, Scott?
Just a little bit.
No. Now you stayed there after college?
I stayed for the money and for love. Quickly found a girlfriend and a job.
Okay.
And those are two big motivators.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for about 4 years or so.
Okay.
Up until about 2010, 11-ish. Respectfully resigned from the newspaper to go vagabonding across the country. Spent all my money and all of our nerves with the girlfriend. Frayed nerves and empty wallets. Returned back to New England.
Did you spend some time in Vermont too?
Yeah. She had family up there, and we landed after our vagabonding trip to the West Coast.
Wow.
We came back and settled, crashed more likely, with her family in Vermont, just outside of Burlington. Another great music town, by the way.
Okay.
And it snows there a little bit as well.
Yeah. Ski country maybe there?
Ski country, yeah. Again, I had no money left, so I couldn't partake in any of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then I want to get into too at the end, Scott. I want to know some of your favorite or fun places you might have seen in some of your travels cross country. But after Vermont, were you in Illinois before you came to Roanoke?
So I came back with my tail between my legs to Central Virginia, where I picked up. I broke up with the girlfriend and came back to. Try to start over a little bit in Richmond. My sister was there, and she helped me get back into the swing of things. Miss Katie. Found a job working for the Petersburg Progress Index newspaper.
I was born in Petersburg.
Petersburg, yeah. So you know exactly the streets that I was roaming there. Yeah.
You know Brick Run, if I said that? The restaurant.
The restaurant, and it's an actual location too, right?
It is, yes, that's right. Yeah. A lot of history there.
A lot of history. The Appomattox River area there is just incredible. And I covered a lot of the current history, the current events.
Right, yeah.
Not so much the history. I was making the first draft of history as a journalist there, we like to say.
There you go. Yeah.
But Petersburg was great. Put me back into the full-time journalism gig, and from there I found another job in northern Illinois, to answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think in November 21, you came back home.
Yep.
So,
The pandemic and the social unrest of 2020, I just went full tilt towards covering all of that. And I was in the COVID wards at the hospital. I was on the streets with our protesters that pretty much didn't stop for a year and a half or so. Just every week there was news, either COVID news or protest news. And like everybody else in the world, I did family Zoom calls back home here in Roanoke. And after a while, I just got so homesick, working a lot on very intense stories and missing my own personal life. And I'm getting to be about middle age or so, and family is starting to become more and more important. And my roots here in Roanoke are just inseparable. Unseverable, no matter where I am in the world.
Right.
So I made the decision to ultimately come back. I just needed a really good landing zone. When I saw that the Roanoke Times was hiring a temporary but full-time photographer, while Heather Rousseau took a year-long fellowship, I jumped at the chance, and just I'm a horrible self-promoter, but I put everything on the table there for my interview, my job interview, my resume, my portfolio, and pitched the good old boy coming back home.
That's right. Classic story.
I leveraged that to no end, shamelessly. It's an innocent move on my part, and it's totally honest.
It's true. It's honest. Yeah.
So I couldn't be more grateful for the last year and a half or so.
According to my math, you left 2003, came back 21, so you were gone a good 18 years, chunk. Did anything change in Roanoke during those 18 years while you were gone? When you came back, you said, this is different, or maybe this is an extra added layer we didn't have when I was here?
Yeah, so industry has changed in Roanoke. I think I can't say if it's much better or much worse, because I'm just experiencing it as an adult for the first time right now. But we definitely didn't have the Carilion and Virginia Tech partnerships in the city that are very prominent. That's a big part of our coverage in the newspaper, is what those two organizations are doing and growing in the Roanoke Valley and beyond. But I have some disposable income, and I'm over 21, and those are two very great combinations, and single, and so those are very great combinations to have at my disposal now back in Roanoke. I couldn't drink, I couldn't drive myself too many places when I was here as a youngster.
Right,
but
yeah.
Roanoke is a fantastic place to live, work, and play, as they say.
As they say. Now let's touch on your craft, your photography, and your video work. One of the things I read about you was that your images capture the spirit of the scene, and I like this. And they said it also captures the soul of the people in the scene. So you have some very high praise from what I read online. You're a hard worker, very dedicated to your craft. What makes a good picture, or what do you look for when you're on assignment to come up with something that's compelling?
Well, any great piece of art, I think, makes the viewer feel or react in some way, whether that's good or bad. The piece of work did something to its audience, made them move in some way that they hadn't considered before. And so I take it as a great compliment and a great honor to achieve that at least a few times in my career. So yeah, I'm grateful to be able to witness both the best and worst that life and humanity has to offer, to recognize that that's what's taking place right in front of my eyes, and to be able to record it in a photograph or in a video or in audio. And hopefully by doing so and providing that piece of artwork to the world, I'm making the world a more beautiful place than when I found it.
Absolutely. And you had another nice quote by you, is that you like to capture the quirkiness and beauty of everyday life. And I guess you get a chance to do that because you cover news events and you cover sports and entertainment events, I guess, around town.
Yeah, my personal motto is to recognize and record the inherent beauty of our everyday world in order to make our world a more beautiful place. Mm-hmm. And I've found, just personally in my own experiences, that there's no better way to get to know your surroundings than to be a community photojournalist. Now, reporters at the newspaper get to have their big bylines on the front page, right. And I do to a certain extent as a photographer, but they can do some of their job via telephone or press release, right. or just coming, just typing at their computer. But I can't do my job unless I'm there on the streets, in the photo pit in front of the stage, or
on the scene,
in the living room of the grieving mother, or at center field with the celebratory football team, mm-hmm. basketball team, whatever. I got to be there. I got to be, feeling the sweat coming off of the artist's brow at center stage, or the quarterback at the midfield line. I've been tackled by students celebrating and mourning their team's celebrations or losses, and it's a privileged life, and I get paid to do it and have pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
The thing, Scotty, the camera that you first start off with, that it must have triggered some skill that you have within you. Do you still have a camera you first started using, or do you remember that? How did you get into this?
Great question. I kept stealing my mother's point and shoot camera right there on Belleville Road here in Raleigh Court neighborhood. Yeah. And one time I accidentally made a fantastic, beautiful, just trippy photo of my left-handed Fender Stratocaster guitar just gleaming in the sunlight on my bed some afternoon. And it actually was a mistake in development, made it all kind of vignette-y and almost tie-dye-y. It was a complete mistake, and in any other eye, it would have just been a throwaway picture. Right. But I looked at it, and I was like, man, that's really cool. It did something in me. It sparked something. I didn't know what at the time. I just knew I wanted to do that little happy accident on purpose next time, and I've spent my entire career and craft trying to make that happen more often than not.
It was a beautiful mistake. What kind of camera you use now? What does a pro use when you're out taking pictures? Or do you have more than one?
I do have more than one. And I don't really like to focus on the technical aspects, because that's a crutch to the real artist. You can make any beautiful thing with any tool at your disposal if you know what you're doing.
That's a good way to put it.
And are sparked by the inspiration. That said, some tools help you get there faster than others.
Yeah.
I'm a Canon man. When my mother was tired of me stealing her own point-and-shoot camera, she got me a Canon SLR, a Rebel, I believe it was.
Yeah, Andre Agassi,
It was he the spokesman
He was
at the
for a
time?
while, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the Rebel when it came out.
Yeah.
And just by luck, my workplaces have been mostly Canon shops, so I've been using professional Canon gear, whether it's the 5D Mark III or the 1DX. I hear a rumor that we might get some equipment upgrades in the near future here in town, and I'm excited to see what I think it's going to be a mirrorless camera, so your photo friends and listeners will know that mirrorless cameras are much lighter and compact and pack way more pixels than some of our traditional cameras, and they have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities that will help me file photos from the scene, from my car, from my phone, rather than having to plug the camera or the CF card, transfer it into my laptop and then go from there.
You know, I mentioned your video of the new Floyd Fest location. I've watched some of your other videos, the Mountain Valley Pipeline on Benton Mountain, and you incorporate music and narration and scenery and all that. So is video getting to be a bigger part of what you do, or is that something you like to do? Or tell us a little bit about the video part and the 360 part.
Yeah, so multimedia journalism is literally in my job description, and photo and video specifically are top priorities for any digital newsroom, and have been for quite some time. And I do my part to make sure that video or some digital widget to engage our audience and help inform and entertain them a little bit more is a part of every story that I work on. The easiest way to do that is to film with my high resolution iPhone. They have tremendous cameras these days, and for our website, you don't need a big studio camera to make those productions. You don't need to be Spielberg. Again, just know how to use your tools correctly and creatively, and you can make some really compelling work. So, and audio, you'll appreciate this. I have invested my own money in some professional audio gear that just makes the sound of my videos really pop. And they say audio drives video. So if your audio is crunchy or staticky or muffly, you're going to lose your listeners real quick. For a video, you're going to lose your viewers real quick. So I make sure that audio, whatever audio I use, is either just nice ambient, natural sound, kind of meditative, excuse me. So I make sure my videos are either meditative, ambient sound, or I really mic up my subject and do a formal video interview with B-roll on top of that. So,
well, it comes across crystal clear. It's very nice. Very well done.
Thank you.
Very well done. All right, so that'll segue right into what you do with your photography. You have a Scott P. Yates photography, is that right?
So, yeah, I have a website, scottpyatesphotography.com, and you can learn more about my craft there. Right now, it's mostly showcasing my published work for the newspapers across the country, but so I don't have a chance, just because I'm so busy in town working, I don't really have a chance to pursue freelance gigs or personal projects. I just am fortunate enough to be able to pursue any of those types of interests through the work of the paper.
Well, it's a nice logo you got for your photography business there. Now, how does that work? Does the somebody at the Roanoke Times call you or send you a text, say, hey, I need you down there at 10 o'clock?
Yeah,
how's that work?
Yeah, we have organizational meetings very regularly where we figure out what the news of the day is and what we can conceivably pursue for that day, for the next day's paper or the next hour's website post.
Right.
And
Because everything's right now sometimes.
Yeah.
It needs something.
One of our favorite sayings, or at least mine, is our deadline was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I think Douglas Adams once said, I love deadlines. I love the sound, the whooshing sound they make as they go by. So yeah, it's always just hurry up and get it in as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Get it right, but then get it into the paper. So yeah, we figure out what Roanoke is talking about today, and I go out and usually, thankfully, I'm a part of a great team where reporters have had previous contact with their sources, and so they generally know that I'm coming or am interested in coming, and so the reporter tells me where their action is happening that day that I can go observe and photograph.
Okay.
Other times, I have to do a little bit more legwork and just kind of help steer where those visual opportunities are going to be. That's very much a photo editor's role, and just deciding like, well, this news conference is just going to be some stuffy guy in a suit speaking at a podium.
Right.
But then there's this like big music show, or Floyd Fest is making a huge announcement, or there's a big fire down the scene. Obviously, those types of stories are going to be more visual than a press conference or something. So that's where I'm going to spend my time. And if somebody, for some reason, doesn't realize that, it's my job to speak up and say, my time, my resources and skills are better used going to these other stories. So let's work on scheduling that for me.
Yeah. Trust your pro staff.
Now, let me ask, you said like throughout the country, maybe somebody want to publish something, a picture or something. How exactly does that work? Is there a quick way to say that,
Two main ways. Anymore, our community papers are part of a larger network of family newspapers. We have a whole bunch of them in Virginia as well, and we naturally syndicate our content to those other papers. Vice versa, their local content can be used in our paper if there's a statewide interest that our readers would want to know what's going on in Richmond or Newport News or Charlottesville. Martinsville is one as well. The second way we can get our content out is by filing to the Associated Press, which is one of the world's largest news organizations, and the local paper is a member of that organization, of the AP. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's why you see AP stories in our paper. We subscribe to their news feed, and it used to be the fact that the paper would get any member paper might get a discount on their subscription to the news service if they themselves contribute news stories to the AP Wire, and I don't know what our local arrangement is. That's way above my pay grade, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the company or anything, but I definitely contribute to the AP whenever there's some big photo news that I've created. And so it'll go out on the World Wide Web and literally be picked up around the world. And I get those Google notifications that my byline has appeared in such and such paper around the world. Yeah.
Well, very neat.
Got like that.
So technically I could say I'm a worldwide published photojournalist.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's a little bit of a stretch if I want to be completely honest and fair about it.
We're going with it. Hey, in your travels across country, is there any place, Scotty, that you might have visited or as a photojournalist that might be it doesn't have to be a tourist trap or anything like that, but it's just a neat place that you would recommend to somebody to visit or go to?
Or maybe you did a vacation there.
Oh man, well there's a tie between the sunsets of Lake Champlain outside of Burlington, Vermont, and the Caribbean coast of Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. Those are amazing. sunset locations. The light there is unlike any other place I've been. But if you if you want to stay a little close to home, check out the Little Green Hive. They've got a couple of locations for coffee and snacks and smoothies here in Roanoke.
Top-notch places.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're
We
familiar
love
with that.
those, yeah.
And then it's a place to eat in Roanoke. Is there any place that's new or different that you'd like to go eat? Because we like to go eat.
Well, I kind of just spilled the beans. Little Green Hive is
Little
great
Green,
for me
okay.
because I'm always on the run, but they've always got fast, friendly service and delicious coffee things. I just had breakfast there. First Watch down on Franklin Road.
I know it.
I had first breakfast there after I was getting my car oil changed this morning. Stopped in there for several hours. And I don't know if it's still functioning, but I grew up on Kabuki down also on Franklin Road.
Yeah, it's still
actually,
there.
that was so fun as a kid.
Get a show and a
yeah.
meal.
Shoot the shrimp in your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's still
As
there.
As a kid, I thought that was the coolest thing.
Good memory. All right, HB, I'm going to give you the last word. And if there's anything we've forgotten, Scotty, is there anything we've forgotten?
Advertise yourself here a little bit. Yeah.
Just be nice to each other, everybody out there, wherever you are. We don't get enough of that in the world. Just hold the door for somebody and say thank you. Wash your hands.
There you go. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I'm just wondering, all photographers, I would say, or people in your line of work, they're looking for that iconic photo. Do you? And it's normally, I don't think it happens on purpose. It's kind of like you even mentioned your mistake picture there of the guitar on the bed. But is that something you're still looking for, or you just let things happen? Is that kind of? Do you ever, set something up to make a beautiful photo that maybe is not associated with your work with the newspaper or?
Yeah, if I were to make an earth-shattering picture for good,
Right.
in the efforts of advancing goodness in the world, and I took the image that does that, I will take it.
Yeah.
And every photo I make, I try to make it a Pulitzer Prize winning
There you
image.
go.
Doesn't always work out, but at least the pursuit and the effort is there. And what does the saying go? If you're not gonna, if you shoot for the moon, at least, and you miss. If you shoot for the moon and you miss, at least you land amongst the stars, and that's a pretty great place to end.
All right.
That's a great quote. All right, well, so we wrap it up. My Mount Rushmore of photographers, Scotty has, it's this: Matthew Brady, Ansel Adams, Annie Leibovitz, and you.
Yeah.
So welcome home, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, T-Bone. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you
glad
very
you're
much.
back. All right, man. Thank you so much.